How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Welcome to the PRPD. Welcome to our MusicMaster session today, our workshop. It's going to be classically focused, but I also want to recognize that there are some of you here who don't program classic music and classical music, maybe classic rock, but no classical music. And I just want to start off right away by telling you that you're going to get plenty out of the day today. And if you don't get certain corners of the software that you need to focus on as a result of your chosen format, then please stop me at some point today and let's find a corner and look at your database. I am the least experienced person here on classical music, I'll tell you that right now. And Joe, I think, would also say that too. Yeah. Joe and I are the least experienced classical people. So we were smart enough to bring people who are classically focused and much more experienced than I am on that. And I want to introduce those people to you here in just a second. We've got plenty of people here who can also stop with you after the session today and talk to you about some specific things. So it's not just the session today. We'll be here sometime this evening. A few of us are flying out tomorrow, but I know Jill, for instance, is staying all week. And so make sure that you stop us after the session today if you've got some specific things that you want to look at. But welcome. Make sure that you grab something to drink and to eat. And if you have any questions during the session today, make sure you raise your hand. And one thing I will say, let me get rid of this guy, is that there are no stupid questions today. In fact, we really want you to ask a couple of questions. And we've got some pads of paper in front of you. Hopefully, through the session today, Melanie will pick some of these pages up from you, and we'd like you to write a couple of, there she is, right over here. And we'd like you to write down a question or two that you've always wanted to ask, and maybe you were afraid to ask. Don't put your name on it. We will read them. We won't point out anybody's handwriting or anything, so please feel free to ask any question that you might have, be it experienced or basic. There are no stupid questions today. We also don't want it to be much of a classroom atmosphere. I know it sort of feels like that with me in front of you and everyone sitting out there with your pad and paper, but it's a very collaborative effort today. We want to hear from you. We learn as much from you as hopefully that you'll get from the session today. So challenges that you have that we'll cover here in just a few minutes, we want to hear about those things. If there are things that you want in the software, we really want to hear those today. It's really important that we get a list of things that you would like to see in the software. One of the things that I really love about MusicMaster, and that I'm so proud of at our company, is that the features that we have in the software, many of them, percentages, anyone who works at the company, percentages of features in the software that were thought of from a user that we put into the software because of them. Joe?
Probably 95%.
Yeah. So if you've got a feature, if you've got a need, if you've identified something about the software that you would like to see, we want to hear those today. So jot those down as well and pass those along to us. So I've got a few people to introduce to you today. Really excited to have them here. We've got 3 people here from Germany to talk about classical music, 3 experts from Germany to talk about classical music, and we've got our in-house expert too that I'll introduce to you now. So you know her because she's one of your own. She was on the team that put KEDM on the air in Monroe, Louisiana in the early 90s, programming classical music and NPR News. And at the time, it was the largest market in the United States not served by public radio. It was then that she went to Ohio. She became a part of the Kent State Mafia. Is that what it's really called? WKSU, where her main claim to fame was the Queen of Cartoon Classics. If you know her, you'll know really what that means. I think that spans perhaps a couple of corners of her life. She joined the MusicMaster team, and she was the support manager with us for 15 years. She hired me at MusicMaster. I've been there for 10 years. She's moved into the development department, where she's become our WIZARD. Her business card actually really does say wizard, and you can ask her for one today. She's the writer, investigator, zealously attacking research and development. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jill Sorensen. I think one of the most important people in my life, and I mean this sincerely, he's such a cool guy. He and I share the same taste in music He wears cooler shoes than I do and dresses much better than I. But our next guest and our next speaker today is the president of On Air in Germany. He's based out of Berlin. He is really the European version of Joe Knapp, who is our president and CEO, standing in the back, and standing and now sitting in the back. And so what happens in MusicMaster in Europe is because of this man here, ladies and gentlemen, Rainer Eichhorn.
What an introduction. Thanks, Drew. What a good guy. What a cool guy. So, yeah, we work with MusicMaster all over the world, beside the US and Canada, in Asia, in Europe a lot, in Africa. And we have, of course, a lot of classical stations all over. And we hope we can share some of the experience these people have with your experience. And hopefully you share your experience with us, because we come here to learn as much from your questions as you may hopefully learn some new stuff over here. And I'm very happy that I could bring two of our long-term classic radio clients over this time. And one is Miriam Van Este. It's over there. Miriam is from Cologne. She's working in public radio. European public radio is a little bit different organized than it's here, but it's a huge, after BBC, it's the largest public radio station in Europe. It's WDR in Cologne. And Miriam is consulting internally on the MusicMaster side. Not only for classic, also for pop, for jazz, for children's programs, but also for the classical side. And we worked together for like 6 years, and she has great ideas that she brought to MusicMaster, and it's a good team. And Miriam will talk about some specific things she's doing in MusicMaster for the classical station WDR3 in Cologne. Then we have Bettina Zacher with us from Hamburg in Berlin. Bettina is the music director of the one and only private classical radio station in Germany, and one of the very few private classical radio stations in all of Europe. And we worked together since 7-8 years or something. She was 5 when she started. And she has the challenge, first of all, private classic music in private, commercially financed. It's not an easy task. And she has also the goal to mix, traditional classical music with newer classical stuff, with soundtracks, which has a classical flavor. And how she's doing this and what she's using, she will give you some examples today, a little later. And I will hand over now to, where's the wizard? I want to hand over to you first.
You hand it over to me first.
I hand over to Drew first. Sorry, Drew.